Jambo, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Safari Mack Returns to Africa. I'm Safari Mack, your guide and host, helping you make connections to the wild. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're still in the East African nation of Kenya and still hanging out in the world-famous Tsavo National Park, hanging out with... I don't know what your deal is. Why do you always want to laugh at me, buddy? Anyway, I think this guy has no need for an introduction. We're hanging out once again with the Spotted Hyena, or Latin name of Crocuta crocuta. So if we're ready to get back into the clan, just watch your step and watch yourself because they do bite pretty hard. Then we're going to get started, but before we begin, hit that like and subscribe button, check out my Facebook page for content and conservation, and if you have a question or an animal request, send me an email. If you're ready though, let's get started. The wild things. Now, I know, like I said, these creatures have been portrayed as stupid, brutish, and sniveling and cowardly, right? But they are actually really smart. And I mean super smart. In fact, studies have shown that their large cortex, or the large frontal cortex of their brains, is actually highly associated with problem-solving intelligence. So they can easily figure out a situation and how to solve it quickly. Now, in hyena clans, as I've said, the females are dominant, with one female being in charge. When she gives birth to her daughter, when she gives birth to her pups, which they could include a daughter or two daughters, one of them will actually inherit her mother's crown and will lead the hyena clan. However, of course, sometimes some studies have actually seen how some hyenas may be seen to abuse their power, I guess. Because one study showed about how one hyena female, in a way a princess, that did not seem to do well and was actually challenged by the other females in the clan for the right to become the next matriarch. So they have to learn really how to rule correctly from their mothers. Now, here is one more hyena misconception that we have always talked about that really should be seen as a wild thing. For years, we the public, have always assumed how the lions are the true mighty predators, always hunting effectively, and the hyenas are the sniveling, stealing, cowardly animals that they are. Don't believe it. That's not true. Here's what I'm talking about. So if you remember from last week, I told you about hyenas have a higher success rate of killing than other predators. That really, like I said, that really is because they have a kind of endurance that they can maintain with prey animals. Very few animals can fully outrun the hyena. See, they're more successful at hunting as well as scavenging. But because they are really good hunters, here's how good they are. It's actually now what we would consider the reverse. Instead of always the lions being the great predators, hyenas can be the greater predators, and more often than not, the lions who are hanging out nearby might often try to muscle in on their hard-earned meals. Now, of course, whether they're scavenging or hunting, it's what they have to do to survive. And of course, hyenas will target lions if they need to, not just for food, but also to avoid future competition. So, hyenas attacking cubs, unfortunately, that's part of nature, but at least they eat their prey, the killed. But what about the lions? It turns out, from studies and from special filming crews, they've actually seen lions actually kill hyenas and then just leave the bodies to rot. Even killing the matriarch, which can be a real huge blow for the clan, as they need a leader to be able to keep things running. It seems that there have been some clips showing male lions killing matriarch hyenas and then just leaving the body to rot. They don't eat them. They really don't eat them. So kind of awkward, isn't it? Especially with regard that Leo being my astrology and lion being my sacred animal. I'm going to tell you what, that makes this whole thing awkward, isn't it? So, let's talk about, unfortunately, their problems and challenges. Now, at the moment, it is safe to say that spotted hyenas are not endangered. Yay! But, of course, like everything in this world, everything that can always change quickly. See, unfortunately, hyenas are still met with revulsion and misconception and wrong ideas about these creatures. So, unfortunately, they are targeted by people, more specifically maybe farmers and villages, as a form of retaliation, probably for the loss of their livestock or even loss of human life. Because even though these guys, even though they're not always seen with the best eye, even though they shouldn't be seen with the worst eye, they still are they can still target people if people get in the way. I mean, like I said, those jaws can easily crush. One survivor from a hyena attack mentioned how he felt punctures in his skull from a hyena. Now, thankfully, he got away, but still, this is just how powerful these animals really are. But once more, like I said, they are still met with revulsion, and they are more often killed in forms of retaliation or revenge kills. So they are often shot, they are trapped, they are poisoned, especially from people that are trying to target other animals, and just happens that the hyena accidentally gets in the way. So you can see where this goes. But there is time, but of course there is always time, and there are ways that we can help save these creatures from wrongful persecution and potential extinction. So currently, hyena conservation efforts for hyenas really involves tracking, which this hyena in the corner is using with a radio collar. But it's more than just that. It's also about education and dispelling long-held beliefs of things that really just are not true. Like, are hyenas always bad? No, they're just doing what they have to survive. The Lion King, while everybody loves it the world over, hyena biologists actually met the film with high repulsion because of how they were displayed. And yet there is one thing that is kind of positive, or in a way that is kind of correct from The Lion King. In the movie, we hear one of the hyenas say, "You know, if it weren't for those lions, we'd be running the joint." And that is actually correct. If lions were to go extinct, God forbid, then hyenas could easily refill the role of top predator and help keep all the other prey animals in check. But never mind, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about conservation efforts. Hyenas, we need hyenas because they do actually perform a lot more special services than you and I may realize. I mean, they're basically the cleanup crews. If they were not around, the landscape would be littered with so many carcasses, and disease would be extreme. Their strong stomachs and their strong jaws can remove those disease agents out of the way and help recycle nutrients back into the earth for others to even use. So the next time that you see a hyena, don't just start laughing at it, because they're just going to take that as a threat, or they're going to take it as an insult. Instead, we need to give them praise for what they do, because they are really good at what they do. I mean, they are part of that group of animals that are highly misunderstood. Spiders, snakes, vultures, sharks. What about them? We're starting to turn a better eye towards them, aren't we? So let's do that for these guys. Well, unfortunately, that's all I have for the spotted hyena. Be sure to join me next week as we continue to traverse through Tsavo National Park with the flamingos. But until then, this is Safari Mack. I'll see you all out there.